Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. 3 persons are nursing first, second and third degree burns sustained from a fire at a gas station in Clifton, Union Island last evening. A police report says that about 6:40 p.m. on Tuesday, the Union Island fire station was alerted about an explosion at Freddy's gas station located at Clifton, Union Island. The gas station was reportedly engulfed in flames, which rapidly spread to a number of nearby buildings, which caused the St. Vincent Electricity Company Limited, VINLEC, to cut power to the area. The police said in a coordinated effort, the fire was brought under control by personnel from the fire department at approximately 11 p.m. The 3 persons who sustained injuries from the incident are now receiving medical attention at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. Lindeni Neverson, a 12-year-old student of Union Island who sustained second-degree burns about his body, 72-year-old Freddie North, the owner of the gas station, who sustained first-degree burns about his body, and Shaniqua Azaria Alexander, a 17-year-old student of Union Island, who sustained both second and third-degree burns about her body. The police say the cause of the fire remains under investigation and that an update on the health of the injured persons and an assessment and range of the damage caused by the fire has not yet been ascertained and will be published in a subsequent press release. Commenting on the fire on NBC Radio today, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves expressed his solidarity with the residents of Union Island. He said while the buildings can be replaced, he is saddened that the 3 persons suffered injuries.
Hrothgar Alexander received second and third degree burns. This young student, you know, I'm really feeling for her and her family. And Lindani Neverson had second degree burns, and the owner of the station, Freddie Nat. So we have to make sure that Chatwana, who got the worst of the burns, and Lindani and Freddie, that they get good medical treatment, and we have to address the question of the rebuilding. But that part is always rebuilding physical facilities. That's always easier than dealing with second degree and third degree burns. Thank God nobody has died, and it could have been worse. Praise God.
Prime Minister Gonsalves commended the fire attendants, members of the Coast Guard, and all those who helped to get the fire under control and seek medical attention for the burnt victims.
The fire brigade did fairly good work, and so too did the people of Union Island and people who tried to throw sand and to get equipment mobilized, and the Coast Guard who brought up the persons who got burnt. First, of course, the smaller Coast Guard vessel brought up Chatwana, and then the Captain Molzak brought up Lindani and Freddie. At least so I've been advised. I've been in touch all the time with the Commissioner and with Corporal Morris, who was on the ground. In fact, he called me up to very late last night. And this morning, as soon as I got up, I spoke to the Commissioner. He said that as you'd expect, the embers are still smoldering, but it has been under control since.
Today, several residents of Clifton, Union Island, who risked their lives to help put out the fire, shared with Radio Grenadines their experience.
I wasn't studying that, I was just studying to get the place out. For me, it's one life I live when I just go. I can't stop because when I go upstairs by Lambi, the amount of heat was up there and I was barefoot. I can't stop. So I just try to get the fire extinguisher to out on the pallet and then to catch in his building. So then that's what I do, and then after I get the hose on Gemstar, and I was up on top screen.
Since I did woman and the explosion, everyone come out the road, grab the hose and
that was your
in the big blaze of fire.
That
was in the big blaze of fire out in it.
And still we can't forget Abdan.
And Abdan also.
And we just wanna make sure you guys don't forget us. The great work we put out there for you guys. Remember us in the future. And just only for today. Remember us.
Well, get the patient and them up to the health center, and after that we start to operate.
How many persons you took up? How many persons were in there? Three persons. And
Getting the fire under control and ensuring that the entire area was kind of clear. So we did that, and I think the guys did a really good job. After we got the second hose from Gemstar, that kind of really helped us in containing, because last time was mainly about containment.
We apologize for the poor quality of the video. Also on radio today, Director of Grenadines Affairs Edwin Snag said the young men on the block in Clifton, Union Island did an extremely commendable job in fighting and controlling the fire which destroyed the gas station and a small shop in the area.
It's the brothers on the block, because I have never seen that level of mobilization in terms of, like, apparently every young man would be outside on the street. I know sometimes the cast little aspersions on, and people have, whatever to say about them young fellas and how they behave and that kind of thing. But every single one of them who were outside last night till the wee hours of the morning were actually engaged in fighting this fire.
Yeah, frontline people. Yes. Frontline.
People came out.
Yes.
You understand? The people came out, if you understand what I mean, and the young men and them went on the roofs of building and so on to ensure that the properties around go safe.
Yes.
You understand what I mean? And I go be honest, and I want to offer it in a very special way, because my personal property is a short way away from the gas station.
Yes.
About 20 meters from the gas station, them guys and them soak down my place and so on. And you understand?
Yes.
So one has to give credit to them. You understand, for the heroic effort that some of them went through.
Snag took the opportunity to wish the 3 burnt victims a speedy recovery.
Catastrophe. You understand? And of course my solidarity with the persons who have received the injuries. The Mulzak took 2 of them up, and one went a little earlier because she was really in a good condition. I'm really hoping the best for the young lady, but some injuries in that we have had 3 persons who have been burnt, and they have been burnt to 1st degree, and 2 of them, I understand, some in the vicinity of 2nd degree burns. The Coast Guard responded, in that the Ministry of National Security, upon hearing it, dispatched one of the ribs down, and the Mulzak subsequently came with a whole firefighting team with equipment and so on, because you don't water the out.
No, that's why I know what.
Before we move on, SVG-TV News would like to apologize for information shared last evening on the fire by our presenter, in which it was stated that there was no fire tender on the island. This was incorrect, and we apologize for the misleading information and any alarm it might have caused. In other news, the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is advising parents and guardians to be extra vigilant in monitoring and supervising their children's activities, both at home and away from home, during this unprecedented period of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused the Ministry of Education to close all schools. In a news release, the police said the advice is being offered in light of the fact that there has been a marginal marginal increase in reports of unlawful sexual intercourse. According to the statistics from the Sexual Offences Unit, the specialized unit in the RSVG Police Force mandated to investigate these types of crimes. Parents and guardians are further advised to pay very close attention to their children's activities on the internet and social media. The police noted that the COVID-19 protocols have led to an increase in online activities globally and in SVG due to social distancing advisories issued by health authorities, which has resulted in cyber criminals taking advantage of the rapid changes in online communication. The police news release further noted that their Information Technology Unit, or the IT unit, reported that since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the unit has observed an increase in reports of cyber crimes such as cyber violation of privacy, sexual harassment by electronic communication, libel by electronic communication, cyberbullying, and facing attacks where hackers try to gather personal information using deceptive emails and websites. Urging persons to play their role in keeping children, the elderly, and the community in general safe. The police said it is important to be responsible, and if you see something, say something. Meanwhile, the police say after consultation with the relevant stakeholders, an increase in the amount of passengers traveling in public service vehicles was recommended with immediate effect. Head of the Traffic Department, Superintendent Kenneth John, is advising that due to the COVID-19 global pandemic and the protocols to be adopted, that all omnibus licensed to transport 18 passengers at this moment carry 12 rather than the previously recommended amount of 9. In addition, the recommended amount for the 25 and 29 seaters omnibuses have been increased to 18 and 21 respectively. Superintendent John said the traffic department will be clamping down on any sort of delinquency to ensure the safety of commuters traveling on public service vehicles and the general public as a whole. He further stated that the protocols and guidelines as stipulated by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment should be followed, and all public service vehicles should be maintained in a clean and sanitary condition according to the traffic regulations. The police superintendent thanked the general public for its continued support in light of the global pandemic and their efforts to maintain peace and safety in SVG. Stevedores attached to the geese company downed their tools for a short period today in protest for what they say are their rights being trampled on with no union to represent them. The workers say they were previously represented by the National Workers' Movement. However, the union seemed to have neglected them, leaving them to fend for themselves, and that they have since sought counsel from lawyer K. Bacchus-Batiste to liaison with management on their behalf. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Bacchus-Batiste explained that the 24 workers are frustrated with one main issue which continues to be ignored for years.
The stevedores paid something like $6.21 for a load, a 10-foot container. If it is a 20-foot container, they're being paid, 40-foot container, $8.30. A 15-foot, same thing, $8.30. And they were being paid 12 cents per sack of cement. And very, very low wages. So much so that when I compared it to what the workers in St. Lucia and Grenada get, it is just ridiculous that our stevedores should work so hard for such little fees.
Bacchus-Batiste said she has since reached out to the local agent for the UK-based company for a meeting. However, she was not too pleased with reports that police had to be dispatched to the workers' site today to bring a halt to the protests.
because we know the stevedores are important. They are very hard-working, serious men, and I think that what they're asking for is very, very reasonable. So I'm hoping that management would respect their right, because they got some harassment today from the police. I'm told that the police was trying to shut down their peaceful protest. That is wrong. We still have democracy in this country, and the stevedores have a right, if they want to, peacefully protest. So I trust that management would meet with me and that we'd be able to clarify this matter.
SVG-TV News has been unable to reach a representative of the National Workers' Movement to speak on the matter. And 25 Ascension sailors working with Disney Cruise Lines returned home today. The Disney Fantasy docked in Port Kingston sometime after 11 a.m. Health officials say the standard protocols are being followed in the processing of the sailors. The next batch of sailors is expected home on May 28th. A number of persons turned out to pay tribute to popular Vincentian promoter Ulrich Soka Jones, whose body returned home today from the United States for burial. A motorcade was held in his honor from the Argyle International Airport, passing through his hometown of Calico, then to Heritage Square in Kingston, a well-known liming spot for the ardent soca lover, after which his body was taken to the funeral home in Mesopotamia, where it will remain until his funeral. Our news team caught up with his parents, other relatives and friends who spoke highly of the 53-year-old who lost his life to pancreatic cancer on May 8.
Grateful to God that we had him as our son. We loved him in life and we love him in death. We pray God would have mercy in his soul and grant him eternal rest. His mother is in the back there, and we both want to thank everyone for the outpouring and the support which we have been receiving since his passing.
Overwhelming and grateful to God for him as a son. He always was this type of person who was a people's person. I suppose we introduced him to music when he started piano music at the age of 7. Was in choral choir at the age of 9, played the church organ, and I suppose this is the life he loved.
And Junior was there to me. Growing up, he was, one of the cousins who I was very close to, and it was very sad for me when I heard of the passing, of his illness first and foremost, and then his passing. And I'm here to support my family, and I'm grateful for all the love and support that everybody has shown to them.
Sister-in-law, and I has known Junior for quite a while. He was very nice, going party together and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Soka Jones was a good man. You will miss him. I know him through Wikibar. Yeah, once he land, this is his spot, Wikibar.
Jones was the first of 3 siblings. He was deemed the most popular Vincentian entertainment promoter in New York City and was honored by the Vincentian American Independent Nation Charities, Inc. in 2010 for being the longest serving promoter in the diaspora. May his soul rest in peace. Several measures have been put in place to ensure the safety of students and teachers, some of whom will be returning to the classroom on Monday, May 25th. Grade 6, Form 5 and TVET students preparing for external examinations will be the first batch of students who will be returning to their classrooms. There have been concerns by parents, teachers, the union, and other persons over the safety of the school environment in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, with physical distancing recommended by health authorities to slow the spread of the virus. Speaking with the Agency for Public Information, Chief Education Officer Elizabeth Walker highlighted the provisions in place to encourage physical distancing for those returning to the classroom.
In relation to the time, because we are mindful of the Ministry of Health protocol in relation to distancing, we are going to stagger the school day so that the students are not competing with the general working population to get to and from school. So we are going to start school later. So school begins at 9:30 and ends at 2:30. But within that structure, the schools will decide the engagement that takes place at their respective schools.
Safe transportation for students during this time is also key, and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Michael Burke, said arrangements have been made to ensure that the students are able to get to and from school in a safe manner.
Speak to the issue of transportation. So we have conversed with the Ministry of Transport, who has offered to provide for students transportation to and from school. So we collaborate with the Ministry of Transport. So we want to give the parents the assurance that there will be no competing. Students and workers for transportation, special arrangements were made to transport your students, your children. Security, on the issue of security, we have a set of protocols that we expect students, teachers, and parents to follow, to adhere to. Those will be communicated to the schools, to the students, and to other stakeholders. Safety is of primary concern to the Ministry of Education. Safety is of primary concern to our nation. So we want persons to feel comfortable.
Teachers have also been included in the operational safety plan, and P.S. Burke said every person entering the school compound will be required to wear a face mask. This includes teachers, students, parents, and other visitors.
What we've done as well too, we've purchased a limited number of masks to be used by cleaners, the ancillary staff, also for students and for teachers. We are encouraging parents to work with the Ministry of Education to provide for their children masks to be used commuting to school and to be used in school. Because it's Form 5 and Grade 6, we are saying that the school is large enough for us to practice physical distancing. And we have asked that principals identify an open area or even the auditorium where classes can be conducted.
As the country and the region continue to experience drier than normal conditions, farmers have been doing their best to keep their crops healthy. SVG-TV's Bavin Oliver visited some farms in the West St. George constituency to ascertain how difficult the situation has been, and tells us more in this report.
The dry conditions have been negatively affecting the nation's farmers with their food production, which is important to sustain life and preserve food security. We visited two farmers in the West St. George constituency who said the situation is at a critical point. Some farmers who rely on the rain are finding it difficult to fill these drums to water their crops, resulting in severe losses. It has also been reported that the harsh, dry conditions have cooked some root crops in the very soil they were planted. Other crops, such as sweet potatoes, have spoiled, with pests said to be making the situation worse. As part of our investigation, we visited the farm of Elliot Matthews, who said he relied on water from a spring to water his crops. This spring has dried up, forcing Matthews to find other means to keep his crops hydrated. Accompanying us on this exercise was Agricultural Officer for District West, Donowa Jackson, who said the situation is widespread.
The majority of farmers have been greatly affected by the severity of the dry weather. As you can see from the landscape, is very parched, and many of the areas that were actually prepared, there are some crop failure. When we came in, we saw an area that is very dry. The farmer had sown ginger, and to date they have not germinated as yet. So there is a delay in germination, and possibly because of the high heat in the soil, it can also cause the plant to actually get damaged, the plant material to be damaged by the high heat in the soil. So yes, the majority of farmers in this area have been greatly impacted by the severity of the dry weather.
On a brighter note, farmers such as Matthews have been able to implement some measures to try to preserve their crops, which include the use of water harvesting techniques and the use of green and shade houses. Agriculture Officer Jackson highlighted how greenhouse-type facilities have helped to keep some of these crops alive.
This is something that we would like to recommend farmers to adopt because of the fact that your plants are protected from the direct sunlight and also from the wind that dry out the soil from time to time. It also reduces the evaporation from the soil and from the plants themselves, and it reduces the transpiration rate in the plants. So the plants are in a better comfort zone and able to perform much better. Additionally, you can irrigate them. As you can see, he has some drums that contain water. He has his own drip lines that he used to wet them. I guess that he also used buckets and things of that sort to water his plant. So this technology is also very important in the sense that it protects your plants from direct rainfall and prevent leaching of the nutrients from the soil.
We also visited the farm of Lloyd Williams, who has experienced severe crop losses such as eddos and sweet potatoes. The slopes on the land which he farms make it impossible to build significant facilities, and a lack of nearby rivers and now the rain make the situation even worse and disheartening. Williams is however not giving up, and he said thanks to diversification he can still make ends meet.
Like when you can't walk, I would take care of the animal. When the land can't walk, so that is how, yeah, that's how I survive so far.
Right.
Because I get pigs railing too.
Right.
So when the land can't really
support it,
pay the bills then. You get pig go help pay the bills until it bounce back now. Then the land take care of the pig again.
For SVG-TV's Evening News, I am Bavin Oliver.
And thank you, Bavin. The semi-finals for the second annual National Corporate Public Speaking Championship, the NCPSC, will be held virtually this year on May 23rd. Member of the NCPSC, Tamika Brown, said 15 participants will be vying for a spot in the finals.
So it's actually going to be a showcase of preparation in terms of researching content and bringing content into a presentation, and also using previous knowledge, using creative skills to show how you can respond to impromptu questions. And we know this would ultimately result in enhanced customer service in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Companies want to be able to enhance their product offering as well as the services that they present to clients.
Another member of the NCPSC, Arlette Miller, also says the response from the corporate sector has been overwhelming.
In terms of education or that sort of thing, we just want to say though that we have increased the numbers. Last year we had 16 participants, this year we have 22. But what I can say though is if you look at the bios of all of the participants on the website, you would see that we have quite an intelligent bunch that has really been looking at this competition and is looking forward to taking part in this competition. So the companies are buying into us and they're really endorsing us just by the mere fact that the numbers have already gone up.
The NCPSC now has a website, and a new feature is the recognition of a Patron of the Year.
Patron for this year's National Corporate Public Speaking Championship is Miss Desiree Richards. I know that she has been a household name in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by virtue of her contributions to communication and leadership. We know that she is currently the director of the Metro St. General Insurance Company. There are several businesses within her portfolio that speak to communication. She is the managing director for the Vincentian newspaper, Boom, managing director for SVG-TV, and she is well qualified in her area of communication and leadership. We are thankful that she has had this impact in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and while we are encouraging local companies to boost their HR in their own companies, we wanted to recognize someone who has given so much to communication and leadership in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And our first patron, we found no one more fitting than Miss Desiree Richards.
We do wish the semi-finalists in the public speaking competition all the best.